Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Vulnerability Hangover Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki, and today we have a very inspiring guest joining us, Mikey, a talented music producer battling a journey of undiagnosed medical conditions, genetic testing, and navigating the challenges of being a rare medical anomaly. Despite the uncertainties and lack of cure for some of his conditions, Mikey remains a positive inspiration, using his TikTok platform to uplift others facing similar struggles. Join us as Mikey opens up about his journey, shares his insights, and let's get into today's episode. Hey, I have a very special guest joining us. I have Mikey. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing really good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Do you have an
Uh,
affirmation for us?
yes, I do. Today mine has been, I will get through today.
Yeah, that's a perfect
Yeah,
one.
it's
We
good. I
can,
say it all the time, but today I've been saying it a lot.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to use every day. I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, do you mind giving us a little introduction about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mikey. I'm on TikTok now raising awareness for individuals living with chronic or undiagnosed um, illnesses, conditions. I'm 24. I born and raised in Texas. I'm a Texas boy. But I lived in a few other places. I make music. I'm a producer and singer, and yeah, that's pretty much not a lot to it, but that's my background.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourself. I'll just give a little bit of background on how I met Mikey. I actually found him on TikTok. He had a video pop up on my For You page. And for a lot of you that know, I am a TikTok scroller and consumer. His video was really touching, the one that I did see, and it's a pretty viral one. He's talking about some of his conditions and his journey through being diagnosed, and it was really touching. It actually brought me to tears. I've been following him for a while, and finally one day I was like, you know what? I think he would do amazing on my podcast if that was something that he would feel comfortable in. And so I reached out to you. You were so sweet. And yeah, we just hit it off. And I'm so excited for you to share your story. And I just really appreciate you coming on. So thank you.
Of course, thank you for having me and extending your platform. This whole process has been great. You're so amazing. I think it's so amazing what you do, and I genuinely love your podcast. When you reached out to me, I did a huge deep dive and watched almost every episode.
Oh, that's
And
so
I just
sweet.
think it's so cool what you're doing, and I think you're great.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. And I feel the same with you. Ever since I started following you, you have so much information to give us and so much you could teach us as well. I know that it's been quite the journey for you, and I want to make sure that your story gets put out there in the way that you want it to be put out there. And thank you also for bringing awareness to those who may be suffering in silence as well.
Thank you. I mean, that all really means a lot. It's so hard. What you just said about individuals could be suffering in silence. That's really what keeps me going to do this.
Mhm.
Is because I was one of those people,
Mhm.
and I didn't really find many people, talking about living with undiagnosed or medical mystery type stuff. And so I kind of didn't really know it was going to turn out that I was going to be doing that right now, but it's kind of great, and I'm glad that I could be a voice for people that don't necessarily have a voice at the moment or are just struggling with this as well.
For sure. Yeah, you're definitely going to change lives and you're doing it already, bringing awareness. And so, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just like sitting here and rambling, but
No,
I
you're
seriously,
totally fine.
I'm
I mean, we can talk for hours.
right? Yeah, totally. Well, let's jump into some of the questions. Can you share a bit about your journey in battling these undiagnosed conditions and undergoing genetic testing at your Mayo Clinic?
Absolutely. I've always had health issues. I've always had something wrong, something weird. When I was born, I had infantile seizures, and that was kind of the start of it. Some babies have seizures, and it happens, and it's not necessarily as uncommon as you think it would be. Nothing was ever really done about that. I was on medication for a little bit and they took me off. But as I got older, I was adopted by my grandmother, my dad's mom, and so she had me since I was a baby, and she would always say like, something is wrong with him. Like she always just kind of knew something was afoot. I don't know. I kind of knew something was wrong, and growing up, it just was one thing after another. I was diagnosed with a pretty common type of bone tumor as a kid, and I only had one, so I didn't really do much about it. But then after that, I was diagnosed with kyphoscoliosis, which is a type of spine disease. And then I had horrible eczema as a kid, which now we know is a genetic skin disease. It's just been one thing after another and so weird. I've been trying to get into the Mayo Clinic for 3 years, and to get there, you got to go through all the specialists first before you can apply to Mayo Clinic. You got to see literally everyone under the sun. So I've spent a majority of my life doing that, trying to find answers and honestly just trying to get to Mayo Clinic. But it wasn't until this last year I had 2 backwards duodenal intussusceptions, which is where your intestines fold in on themselves like a telescope. And it is very rare in adults. And my specific one, there's only been 10 documented cases in the world. And ever since then, my body has just kind of shut down. I've had a lot of neurological problems since then, and I finally got to go to the Mayo Clinic, and they recommended I see a geneticist. I met with a geneticist, and basically he is like, these are all characteristics of some type of genetic condition. We don't see people that just have all this stuff and it's not related to a genetic type of condition or disorder. And so we're going like, oh, okay, that, my family has a ton of genetic neurological diseases on my mom's side of the family, but not my dad's side. My dad's side is kind of cancer related, but I've been scanned, so we're good there. But yeah, so that was kind of crazy to hear, and immediately we started the process for my first genetic test, which is called whole genome sequencing, and it is the most broad genetic test you can get. It reads your entire genome sequence. Wow. And it looks for mutations and misspellings and all that kind of stuff. But the downside is it is so broad, it is easy to miss certain conditions. The first thing we did was talk to a genetic counselor. The first appointment was very in and out, but it was so thorough. I met with like several nurses. I met with my geneticist, and then they brought in a genetic counselor to discuss the risks with me and discuss like, how would you feel if something does show up that there's no cure for? How would you feel if nothing does show up? Just kind of that stuff. They make you really think about it. I guess they're kind of screening you in a way to make sure you can handle doing a test and the news, whatever it might show up. So I left the appointment after that. I got my blood drawn, and about 6 months later, I got the first round of results, which is what revealed my genetic skin disease. I have 2 FLG mutations. So both copies on that same chromosome are broken, so they don't work at all. And so going back to when I was a kid, I had horrible eczema this whole time. I was put on steroids and all that stuff, but it wasn't eczema. It was a genetic condition, so we have to treat it differently. So it's been the whole experience has been very eye-opening, and it's been very relieving that I can put names to some of my problems, and now I can better treat some of my issues. But at the same time, um, there's still a lot of unknown, and genetics is an ongoing field. Since the first test was suspected to have missed stuff, we did a second genetic test, and that is what showed more answers than the first one. It was tested for 902 genes that are associated with neurological disorders, muscular dystrophy, seizure disorders, and neurometabolic disorders. And so it's kind of been like, gotta try this, gotta try that, and just see if something pops up. It's been a great experience. I've had great doctors and clinical staff that's been able to help me out with understanding everything. And, but, at the same time, it is still like, there are moments where they're just like, we can't tell you whether this is causing your disease or not, So it's kind of had to take everything with a grain of salt, and just have to wait for definitive answers. But overall, it's been a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you are so strong. That must be heavy at times, but also relieving. How did you initially feel when you realized something was wrong with your health?
I at first, I wanted to just brush it off. Like everybody kind of does sometimes. It's just like, no, I can't get sick right now, or I can't, like maybe it's just something. Maybe I'm not drinking enough water. The alarm bells didn't really start going off until I think I had ignored it so much that I was starting to get really sick. So when I really, really knew like I waited too long, I started to worry and panic a little bit. But I'm the type of person that I'm very proactive in everything that I do. So when I realized like, no, this is like, I'm not doing well, I need to go to the doctor. Um, I just was like, here we go again. Honestly, because of all my other previous health issues, I was kind of just like, what is this now? It's a lot of emotions, a lot of crying, a lot of why me, feeling like that, feeling like something is wrong. When I was 16, this was the first time I felt something was wrong with me. And that was hard because I was like, what am I gonna do? How do I base a future off of feeling like this and going to doctors and all this stuff? Having to that basically be my life for a while. It's hard, but I kind of stabilized for a few years, and then it started again, and then those why me feelings come back, and I mean, it's like I can't even encapsulate all the emotions. It's literally like such a spectrum of feelings. It's so crazy. Like one minute I was fine, and then the next it was like, no, something's wrong. I'm scared. Like a lot of fear too. It's very. It's so crazy how when it's happening to you, how it makes you feel when you finally realize something's wrong. I'm speechless almost because it's
Yeah,
so overwhelming sometimes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you handle it with such grace, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I appreciate it. It's it's so weird just like looking back on all of it and just being like, "Oh, I'm here now. I'm still here."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's something to be grateful for. Most days more of them suck than others, but it's like I just have to do this for myself is really what it feels like. No
For
one's
sure.
gonna reach for the answers for me.
Yeah, if it was that easy, then it'd be a different situation. And yeah.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
What has been the most challenging aspect of navigating through this journey of uncertainty and rare medical conditions?
The most challenging has been keeping my mental health in a decent spot. It takes such a toll on your, not just your mind, but your body. Both are connected. It's when one's out of sync, the other one can follow. So it's for my own health that I have to keep my mental status good, and that is hard sometimes, very challenging. Another one is how having to learn how to be your own advocate. That is such a challenge that I don't think a lot of people talk about enough. Having to do your own research, but like a comfortable amount of research, not where you're like consuming your whole entire mind into it, because that can also lead to like anxieties and stuff. Because I have learned, but just learning how to have to speak up for myself. I am such a people pleaser by nature, and I hate confrontation, but I have learned how to, speak up. But it was so hard for me because it's so not in my comfort zone. No one wants to challenge your doctor because they're your doctor, and but when it comes to like the more serious stuff, it's like, okay, but hold on, you gotta kind of not be one of the doctors, but you've got to be in the same mindset in a way, because both of you are trying to fix the problem or find out the problem. That was definitely a serious challenge for me. Yeah.
But like I said, you're handling it with such grace, and sometimes the learning experiences are tough, but you're getting through it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is tough. It's a huge learning experience, and there's so many more challenges that come with it that I could talk about, but just those two are like that have been like the one I struggle with the most, and I'll never show it on TikTok or on camera, but I don't even talk about it much. This is the first place I've been able to talk about it. So again, thank you for giving me this platform to show like the deeper side of it. But it's gnarly.
Yeah, we're here for you. We're holding space for you. On the topic of mental health, how do you cope with the news that there could be no cure for some of these conditions?
That's a tough one. It's like it's so bittersweet. It really is, because where a lot of my fear comes from is the unknown. If there's a thought that there's no cure, that's bad. That's not good, obviously. That's what you don't want to hear. But at the same time, if I know that there might not be a cure, it kind of puts me at ease because I know what to expect. And if there's no cure, if it's not going to get better, then I know that, I know that's a possibility. In the beginning, I had a problem with getting my hopes up. And it won't be like getting my hopes. It doesn't feel like getting my hopes up. It feels very real, and like I'm hitting it straight on. It feels like sad, but like weirdly, it is what it is. Kind of a feeling. Um, it's again going back to like the spectrum of emotions. There are moments where it hits me hard. There are two sides of it. There are moments where it hits me hard, and I cry and I have to get that out. But there are moments where I'm just like, well, at least I know, like, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not setting my brain up to be disappointed. It's kind of like a bittersweet emotion.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, you're so young to be going through all of these things, but so strong. And Like I said, you're just doing such an amazing job handling with grace and educating those who may be curious or may be suffering in silence. I just applaud you. You're very inspiring.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yeah. What has been the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself through this process?
Definitely how resilient my body is, or just like our bodies in general. I mean, like they can bounce back. I have literally been on death's door 3 times now, and each time I've come out of it, you know, and so it's that's something very interesting I've learned. It's also a little reassuring to me, like I could get out of those spaces again if my body ever decides to like peace out for a second again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know like I might be good. Another one is just how strong my mind is. I still suffer a lot from medical trauma and PTSD and anxieties and fears, worrying, but I have surprisingly pulled myself out of some really dark moments this last year
Mm-hmm.
and put myself on a better track. Like again reassuring to me that I can get through this. I'm gonna be okay. But it was also really great to learn that about myself because um, I think that I always thought I kind of was weak-minded or had given too easily before all this started. So that's been reassuring. I also have learned that I am a people person. I love connecting with other people. I love talking to people, not even just about my condition. You know, I like to make people feel better and help people and that's been something very interesting to learn too. You know, I've always kind of been a people person or social butterfly, but I didn't really know to like what extent. I didn't know how far I could take that, and I didn't know that I could use that skill to like help other people
Mm-hmm.
and connect with others. So that's been something really cool I've learned about myself as well.
Mm-hmm. That's a tool that not a lot of people have, and it's a beautiful tool to have to be able to touch so many people. It's incredible.
Thank you. It's been so great. I'm so glad I found that out about myself. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where I would be if I didn't, what I'd be doing.
For
So
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, community is healing.
it is. It's the only thing. I mean, I'm serious. It really is like the only thing that really gets me through most days.
Yeah.
Um, just a sense of love and compassion from others. It's so like I don't think a lot of people realize how important that is just in your everyday life to
For
feel
sure.
that even if it's not coming from like your family member or your friend, there's other places to get that love and that compassion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How's your perspective on life and health changed since your diagnoses?
Now I kind of look at everything, you know, glass half full type of way. Like I'm so more positive than I used to be. I enjoy the little moments now because I understand how quickly things can change.
Mm-hmm.
And I cherish my relationships and my friendships, you know, with family and friends so much more. Now I really hold everybody literally like so close to my heart.
Yeah.
Um, I just appreciate so much more than I did before, you know. It's really the little things now that can make me emotional or make me feel different, you know, and feel amazing. Um, it's the little things, the little strides, the little achievements and accomplishments you make along the way. Those are so important too. It's not just about the big milestones you obviously conquer along the way as well, but it's like the I got out of bed today.
Mm-hmm.
I may be in sweats and a t-shirt, but I got dressed today. I took a shower. I brushed my teeth. I went to lunch with my family, and for me, those are things that are very hard to do, but they make my entire day now.
Yeah. I really relate to what you said. You never know until you don't have it anymore. And
Hmm.
then when you have it again, you take those little moments to just hold on to them and cherish them. And it really does help make things go by a lot easier.
It does. It really does. Having to shift my perspective on
Hmm.
an outlook on life and things has been the most one of the most important things I've had to do to get to where I'm at now.
I wanted to circle back a little bit to your community on TikTok. You mentioned that you use TikTok as a platform to inspire others going through similar struggles. Can you share more about how you use social media as a tool for inspiration and support?
Absolutely. I love TikTok. I It is just such an amazing app, and there's an amazing community of people on there waiting to feel seen and waiting to feel heard and connect with others going through similar things like that they're going through. I use it as a tool to spread awareness for not only my condition, because it is therapy for me as well, because I get to get it out, my feelings, but for other people to help them know like you are not alone. I know it can seem like the end of the world and like life can be so dark and bleak sometimes, but and it is hard to comprehend that others are going through it as well, because when you're in that when you're in that space it can be so isolating. But there we are out here, we are doing the thing, we are talking about it. I'm giving others, I think, a chance to tell their stories. I've had so many people reach out to me and tell me that I've helped them want to start talking about their conditions and making their own videos and story times. I don't really do anything crazy on there. I give a lot of health updates, I do TikTok trends. I feel like just, seeing this is gonna sound weird, but I guess just like seeing me in a way is like spreading awareness and somehow, because I know a lot of people are curious when they see me. They're like, "Oh, what's going on with this guy? Like, what's wrong with him?" They click my profile and I have so many resources on my profile and videos talking about medical gaslighting, which has been a huge requested topic from others going through chronic illnesses and diseases, certain other relatable topics that others may have gone through. I talk about it all on there, and it has been the biggest reward ever. I didn't start it to really do that. I started it as like a music TikTok at first to like promote my own music, and then I got sick and I was like, well, I wonder if there's anybody else going through what I was going through. I was really just trying to find my own answers,
Hmm.
and it just kind of turned into something bigger than myself, and um, I am still searching for new ways on there to bring awareness and spread positivity, and I'm still learning how to do that.
Hmm.
But it has been the best thing ever, the best therapy for me, honestly, as well.
Hmm.
And everybody on there is so amazing. Everybody is just so loving and supporting to not just me but to each other on there. The community is just so great.
Yeah. I know you do really have a really sweet community. Every time I hop in your live, everyone's collaborating with you and the followers, and they're so sweet. I love it.
They are. Every time we get on live, it's literally just like a bestie FaceTime call is what we call it. Because it really is just like we're all just hanging out. Whether we're talking about medical stuff or we're just talking about the night we were watching the Grammys and I wasn't, but they were, and they were telling me about everything that was going on. It's
Love
just
it.
so fun.
Yeah, that's so fun. They're amazing people.
They're amazing. They really are. They're something else. I feel so lucky to just have so many people, that are just so kind and
Hmm.
so loving. It's so refreshing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of your community, what advice would you give someone dealing with undiagnosed conditions or facing a medical mystery?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think first thing would be just to do not give up. It is scary and hard and isolating a lot of times, and you're probably gonna want to give up. I've almost given up like a handful of times now, but just keep pushing for those answers. Keep pushing for answers, keep pushing for your health. It can get better. Don't be afraid to reach out for emotional support as well. Coming from a severe introvert, all my friends, when I started getting sick and it started getting bad, everyone is, of course, doing the friend thing. Don't feel afraid to reach out. Like, we're here for you, let us know. And it means the world. And to have friends that are there for you like that. But, at the same time, it's like, as an introvert, there's that block where it's just like, for some reason, I can't ask for help. But it's like, no, you can. And sometimes you need to. I've had to break down that wall, um, and it's taken several tries. But reaching out for emotional support, and when I'm in those dark places or frustrated places where it seems like you're not getting anywhere, it's been the best thing for me because your friends really are there for you. Your family's there for you. If you don't have supportive friends or family, there's people like TikTok. There's
Hmm.
people on there waiting for you to talk to them and to share your story and what you're going through and connect because it also helps those people feel less alone. Like every time someone reaches out to me just to talk, I get a lot of messages in my DMs, just people who are going through similar situations and just need a friend. Um, it also makes me feel seen and less alone, and it's a very mutual feeling. So don't be afraid to reach out, and don't be afraid to, if you need like counseling or therapy, it is beneficial, I think, in these circumstances. So that's kind of what I would say to others experiencing similar situations to me or just going through a hard time with medical problems because
Hmm.
it is so hard,
Yeah, and very isolating too.
very isolating, and like being in the undiagnosed category, it can be even more isolating sometimes. People that have like definitive diagnoses, it's like, well, at least I know what it is, and there's a community and support groups that are more detailed to that, but
Hmm.
um, for the undiagnosed community, there's not a lot of places to go for support like there are within other situations. Yeah,
Hmm. For
it's very
sure.
interesting.
Despite all the challenges, you still remain so positive and has such a sweet demeanor. How do you maintain this positivity and what role does it play in your journey?
I think it definitely is everything to me now. Positivity is like it's like medicine. I do a lot of arts and crafts. I go on walks. I do physical therapy. I think those are all healthy ways to stay positive and release endorphins and make you feel good. I think hanging out with friends, if you can't hang out with friends, FaceTime friends, set up a FaceTime party or something. Watch a movie with your family if you're close with your family. Practicing self-care, as small as that may seem to some people, for me it's huge because I struggle with self-care a lot. And that has been something that's changed my mood so many times. It is insane how it makes you feel better. There's so many ways to, like, healthy distractions, so many ways to keep your mind on the positive side of things. Watch some stand-up comedy, just even in the background. Do something you like, find a new hobby if you're able to. It's everybody's different, and so what works for me might not work for other people. And to that I just have to say it's tough, but it is one of the most rewarding journeys to go out and find something that you knew that you might like. Because you may never know. You may try something, and it may totally change your mindset. And also, not to think negative all the time. I know it's so hard for a lot of people, especially people with general anxiety disorders, or like just people who struggle with depression like myself. It's so easy to spiral, and if you know the pattern, you know the pattern. But when you get in those moments, just turn on a show you like, call a friend, read a good book you like if you're able to read, and it's completely changed the trajectory of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I was so negative. So why is this happening to me? And I think I actually brought it up to my mom. I literally was like crying in her arms. I'm like, why me? And she was like, why not you? And I was like, I took that the wrong way in the moment, but as time has gone on, I kind of realized I get what she meant by that. It wasn't like I deserved it. It was like I'm gonna learn some stuff about myself and in a type of way. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's been very important for me to stay positive and do the things I like and do the things I love.
You've taken it and turned it into something so beautiful, and your positivity is just so contagious. You brighten everyone's day when you pop on, especially on your lives, just so happy and cheerful despite all that you have gone through. Can you share moments of triumph or joy during your health journey?
Yeah, for sure. I know when people hear my story, it all sounds so crazy and heavy, but there have been some joyful moments and some huge positive moments in my journey. Definitely one of them is being able to turn my story around and help others with it. And that's been a huge positive and plus in my life lately. Another one is like the small strides, getting answers when you didn't think you were going to get answers, even though they're not complete answers. You're still on the right path. Um, you know, there are so many moments with my family I could talk about. They've been so there for me, and it's been hard on them as well. But we've gone on some vacations, since, and it's made me feel really, really good. Um, they're it's not as much joyful moment as I would like, but it's the little things. It's the your friends drive. My friends driving 3.5 hours just to come see me. It's those moments where it's like this is all still going on, but in this moment, I don't feel like something's wrong with me. Like I feel like I'm just hanging with my besties, or I'm a normal person at the movies. It's those moments that are so rewarding and important, and I'm so glad that I can experience those. And it helps me so much. Helps me to, again, stay positive and keep an open mind about everything and look at both sides. I mean, it's really made all the difference.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah.
sure. How do you balance advocating for yourself in the medical system while also managing the emotional toll of living with chronic conditions?
That's a really good question. It's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, with advocating for yourself, it's a lot of research. It's a lot of looking into your own problems, which is hard to
Mm-hmm.
do in a healthy way because it can become overwhelming, especially in situations like how before I went to a Mayo Clinic, I was being gaslit by doctors. I was being told this could be in your head type of stuff, and having to put my foot down and advocate for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Say, no, I something's wrong. I need you to do this, please.
Yeah.
It's I don't even know how to even begin, like with how challenging it is. It's just one of those things you've gotta sit down with yourself and say, like, am I gonna take control, or am I gonna let these doctors or let me slip through the cracks? Because I've slipped through the cracks in our medical system so many times. I think it was after, well, there was a last time, and then that was when I was just like, nope, I am gonna be my own patient advocacy team. I'm gonna do this because there's no way to prepare for that feeling. It's been, I don't know, I just think that not a lot of people have to do that for themselves. And I think that because of that, not a lot of people understand how difficult that can be, especially people who are going through undiagnosed or conditions, get in the diagnosis process, medical mysteries. I get a lot of people asking how I do it, and it really is just by starting your own research, getting your confidence up enough to where you can speak up for yourself, because it is hard, especially when, like, it's a doctor and you're supposed to trust them, which most of them are great and amazing. But there are some where you have to say, like, I'm so sorry, you are wrong. Like, this is actually, I need to do this instead. Saying no, being able to say no is such a huge thing that I want to stress to people, especially in my similar situation, because a doctor could say, or anybody could say, well, we're gonna try this, but if it doesn't sit right with you, it doesn't sit right with you. And if it's invasive, like if the test is invasive, you could say no. Not even related to doctors. If your friends are being kind of pushy about something and you don't feel like you can do it, don't feel pressured. Say no. That's another thing as well, is when you're in friend groups and you're not able to do the things that y'all used to do because either of a disability, or it's so important to just say no. I think it's such a strong word, and it's so empowering as well, because it's like you're taking back your strength, and you're taking back your power, and you can just say no. You can.
I'm glad that you're able to be your own advocate. That's so important in so many aspects of life, medical especially, because, I mean, especially with how rare your conditions can be, it's
Hmm.
not very well researched. So when you're like, I'm feeling this sort of way, it's important that they hear you out and they confront it head on because you just never know.
Exactly, and that's just advocacy. Self advocacy is something that I will be preaching about to everybody in similar medical situations, because I had to learn the hard way, and I don't want other people to learn the hard way. I want to be able to, like, find people to be able to, like, find me and take some tips before it gets to that point. That way, if it does get to that point, hopefully it doesn't, they are
Mhm.
able to speak up for themselves and for what is right for them, because everybody's different.
Right, yeah. What are some misconceptions about people living with rare medical conditions, and how would you address them?
I think there are a lot of misconceptions. I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is there are treatments and there are cures. Most of the time, there's not. A lot of times, there's treatments to like prolong symptoms. That's just something I think should be educated on a little bit by a lot of people. I think a huge misconception though is that we're still people. We're still living life. We may go to the doctor a little bit more than the average person, but we're not really different in so many ways. We still like the same music we liked before. We still liked the same TV shows or food. There's so many things I could go on about. Just because also someone with a rare disorder may look a certain way does not mean that maybe they're any mentally less capable of having a conversation with you, or we don't always need your help with something, that kind of thing. Help is appreciated, but like there are moments where it's like, no, I can do this, thank you though. I think a lot of people judge by the cover sometimes. And so I think it's just important to say that we're still people. We're still going through the motions of life. It may just look a little different than yours, and we may have to do things our own way. But that doesn't mean we're less than or anything like that. There's so many misconceptions about people with rare disorders. It's really sad, but it's eye-opening at the same time, because when you really realize what some people think, it's really crazy. It is really crazy.
For sure. Yeah. Well, looking towards the future, what are your hopes and aspirations despite the uncertainties in your health journey?
That is a very interesting question, and I think about it all the time, because it's like, I don't know what is going to happen to me 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. Things have changed for me so fast. So when I push that aside and I just think, what does Mikey want to be doing if, this wasn't going on? That's kind of how I look at it. And I want to, I want to do music still. It is a little bit harder for me these days to play my instruments, play piano, sing, stuff. I think that's something I always want to be doing. I've kind of gotten into like being an advocate for others, so I'd like to continue that. There's so many things I still want to do. So there's so much, like, I want to travel. I want to live somewhere beautiful. I want to date, That's been like one of the hardest things I've had to face, is like dating. And like, you wouldn't think so, but like it is, dating is so hard in general.
Yeah.
But I would love to experience that again. And I think that I will get to experience all of those things. I do think no matter what happens, like, I will always be pushing for those goals. And I don't think that will ever stop.
Yeah. You'll do it, and we'll watch you along the way just completely take off and
Thank
inspire
you.
everyone, or continue to inspire everyone.
Thank you.
As we bring this episode to a close, is there anything else you would like to share, or any message you'd want to convey to our listeners?
I just want to say that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. There are tons of communities out there waiting to hear from you, waiting for you to be a part of and relate. For those of you who are going through health issues as well, or just similar issues in general, where the future is a little uncertain, don't give up hope. Don't stop doing what you're doing out of fear or anxiety. Don't let it win, and just take it day by day, very slow baby steps, and just strive to be the best person that you can be. And I think with that, everything else will follow.
Where can our listeners find you and follow you along your journey?
Yes, so you can find me on TikTok at Mikey's underscore journey. I post a lot of my health updates on there, but I do some other stuff as well. You can find me on Instagram at underscore blueboy 2.0. It's where I kind of do a lot of my music stuff. And yeah, that's all the social media. But yes, and if anybody is going through hard times and needs to talk to somebody or reach out to somebody, like sometimes reaching out to a stranger is for some reason easier, and I understand that. My messages are always open.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the Vulnerability Hangover podcast. I appreciate you, and we will continue to follow you along this journey. And thank you so much for inspiring everyone around you.
Thank you, Nikki. I really appreciate you having me on. This has been such a great experience and very emotionally freeing for me. So thank you for extending your platform to me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And that concludes today's episode. A huge thank you to our guest Mikey for sharing his incredibly inspiring story. Mikey's journey reminds us of the power of resilience, positivity, and embracing vulnerability. Remember, you are never alone in your struggles, and there's strength in sharing our stories. If Mikey's journey has touched you or you have a story, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I will catch you guys in our next episode, and remember to be kind to yourselves and others and keep embracing vulnerability. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Okay, love you. Bye.